every now and then you can be lucky enough to find a place which is crafted so beautifully that it is almost just as much a work of art as it is a home. And here in Brisbane, we may have found just one of those places. Hi Chelsea, it's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Pleasure to have you.
It's such a pleasure to be here, and your home is absolutely enchanting. I feel like I've been transported to a little magical hideaway right now.
That was exactly the goal.
Yeah. And now, first of all, can you just talk to me a little bit about what you've created here and how it was that you came to be here?
Yeah, for sure. So I've just fitted out a old bus and I've made it into a tiny house, kept it all pretty low key, but yeah, it's nice little forest getaway bus home.
It certainly is. The bus is beautiful and looks quite unusual. What kind of bus is it?
It is a Mercedes named Bucker. I got it on Marketplace and I'd been looking around for a little while, and then when I found it, I was so excited. I actually had inspected maybe 3 that week.
Right.
But yeah, it was awesome. So I like that it has a front and back door, which is hard to find, but
yeah.
Also, it was, 11 meters rather than 10, which doesn't seem like much, but in a tiny house, that extra meter, I'm sure you know.
1 meter makes all the difference.
It really does.
And this isn't your first foray into bus life, is it? You were living in a different bus before this one.
Yeah. I was in a Toyota Coaster, so a lot smaller, and I had a partial fit out kind of thing, but I was in there for a couple years, fitted that out myself as well. It was super cute and I do miss it, but I ended up selling that one about a year ago. So I had lived in that while I started fitting out the big bus and then transferred over once I could move into the big bus.
And you've done all of this as a DIY project, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I have learned as I've gone along. So it's just like a lot of YouTube and Googling. At least with a big bus like this, I didn't have to sort of cut out windows and things like that. It came with panoramic views already installed. So it just meant that I could add in furniture and things. And I had friends and family who have helped me with a few things here and there, like a bit of the more involved carpentry and wiring and plumbing and stuff, thank goodness.
I love the way that you've painted this bus green as well. It just so beautifully fits into the landscape here.
Yeah, so I wanted it to fit into the forest area as much as possible. I wanted it to have as minimal impact on my surroundings. Considering it's an 11-meter bus, I wanted to blend it in by having a nice forest green and planting up around it, putting in some garden beds, and hopefully eventually some vines will kind of start crawling up it and everything. So it's just trying to make it blend visually, and then also blending from the inside to the outside as well as the outside to the inside. So yeah.
And what was it that inspired you to live in a bus?
So as a full-time artist, to be able to afford a house, the tiny house movement is really everything I needed. It meant that it was affordable, a lot of DIY aspects, so I could tailor the space to my needs and I could put it anywhere. So originally I was looking to buy land and then, put a small house on it. And then I was like, well, maybe I should buy a house and then find land later. And getting a tiny house means that I have the freedom to do that.
Very sensible plan. And tell me more about your art.
So I do all kinds of different things. I do ceramics, illustrations, I release stickers, as well as I have a journal that I release every year that's for mindfulness, mood and habit tracking and colouring in. So my full practice is very diverse, but it's just every medium that I explore I love. So I pass that on to people through workshops and books and
Amazing. Yeah. And I can certainly see all of your art pouring out into everything that you've created here, not only in the bus, but also in the spectacular outdoor area. Tell me about what you've crafted here.
So out here is my breakout space. So it just means that I can still entertain, even though I'm living in such a tiny space. I can still have people around for dinner or hang out by a fire. And I can also use it as my outdoor workspace. So I do a lot of my work online. So all of my social media sort of marketing and things. I can just sit out here amongst the trees and birds and just zone into my work. So yeah, having the breakout space means that I have the amount of room that I would have if I had an indoor living room, but it is breezy and lush.
It certainly is. And you're obviously an avid gardener as well. The way that you've done all of the planting around the house is quite spectacular.
I love gardening. I got into it maybe like 5 years ago or so, and I have been working on this space for quite a while, trading plants with like local community, as well as, you know, propagating. So I've slowly like filled up the space over the years.
Well, already I'm just quite taken aback by what you've crafted here. This is just such a special space that you've created. And now I just can't wait to see what you've done inside the bus. Can we have a look at that?
Absolutely, let's go.
Let's go. Oh, this is incredible. I absolutely love how you've styled this place.
Thank you so much.
All of the decor in here just absolutely jumps out at you. This place is just jam-packed with character.
It's all the little eclectic things that I've collected, all mostly vintage or handmade. So it's just all the things that I love put into one place and then curating them all together. I just wanted to be surrounded with everything that I find inspiring, that will keep me creating. And, you know, if I live and work in a space like this, then I continuously find that inspiration day to day.
Yeah. And again, I just love what you've done with all the plants in here as well. You've done such a good job of sort of making it feel cozy and secure, but at the same time, like it's still just completely connected with the outdoors and nature.
Yeah, I think that in a tiny house for me, it was so important to be bringing nature inside, because being able to live amongst these treetops is like so beautiful. And then having the plants just along the edges of the bus means that I always have that nature flowing around.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things that often amazes me, but especially in this case, with things like buses and vans, just how you're able to take something which is a utility vehicle essentially and turn it into something that feels just so much like home.
It's crazy to think about the history of the bus and that it was just a people mover, like, and then to be able to come in and make it my own.
And having the dashboard just kind of peeking through the plants and the timber there is a really nice feature. It just gives this like gentle whisper of the history of what this place used to be.
Absolutely. I like keeping the features that are, you know, from the original bus. So there's the dash and there's a few little like hand-painted lights from the original fit out and things like that that are just a little shout out to the history of the bus.
Yeah. I really like what you've done with the lighting in here as well, and how you've kept it all very subtle and very simple, using all of the LED seed lights and fairy lights. It just gives, again, that very magical feeling.
Yeah, I love the mood lighting rather than bright lighting. I have some bright lights for when I'm working in the studio, like at my desk late in the evenings, but other than that, I find that the fairy lights and lamps are plenty. Yeah. And it's just so calming. It's so beautiful.
And the collection of furniture in here is really quite impressive.
Yeah, I spent much time hunting on Marketplace and finding secondhand vintage furniture that was the colours and the designs I was looking for, that could, again, represent that warmth and eclectic inspiration that I was looking for.
Yeah. The first piece that I noticed is, of course, this spectacular desk, which I'm sure is a very, very well-loved item that gets a lot of use.
Yes, absolutely. So this is where I sit and do my illustrations and work on my books and things. So it's beautiful to have an item of furniture that it embraces all of that creativity, and to have all of my art materials laid out in front of me. So every day I feel inspired to illustrate and paint.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking around, I can see why this would be such an inspiring place for you, including what you've done over here. I absolutely love this kitchen that you've built. This is very impressive. That timber slab, what a piece.
Yeah, it's a red gum slab that I got from a local mill that is sustainable. They only harvest from wood that is being taken down off of private properties. So I was so happy to find such a beautiful tone of timber, and I'm like sanded it all back myself and it came together beautifully. There is actually a matching one in the bathroom.
Awesome. And I love the way that you've repurposed this old sideboard as kitchen cabinetry as well. It just fits in beautifully.
Yeah, it was much easier to be able to find a buffet unit that would suit my purposes of storage for the kitchen rather than building the cabinets, and I found one that was the perfect tone of timber. And I was like, yep, great. And it was only like $30 or something. So it's just bonus.
Yeah. And obviously you've got a fridge here and the sink as well. Can you talk to me about services? You're obviously connected to power and water here.
I'm on the mains power and water. In future, when I do move the bus, then I would consider, setting up an off-grid system. But at the moment, I was like, yep, I'm happy with that.
You mentioned before that this was all done as an on-the-fly, learn-as-you-go DIY project. What was the reality of doing this project like for you? Like, how was it actually getting stuck in, fitting everything out, finding the furniture, but then also modifying everything and building in everything to make it really fit your vision?
Yeah, it's a steep learning curve, but I was doing that during the pandemic. So I finally had the time to fit out a second bus. But yeah, so I took it through step by step, got it back to nothing, cleaned it all, primed it, sealed the walls, insulated everything. And then from there, it was a little bit more familiar territory where I could just be sort of painting things and, setting up furniture and rearranging things.
Absolutely. And if there was one good thing that come from the pandemic, it was that it gave people some time to build some ridiculously cool stuff. And beyond your kitchen and studio desk, we've got this wonderful little cozy lounge area you've crafted. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I have sourced just a little 2-seater couch. Can't fit much more than that, but I've found it's perfect. And then on the couch, I've got a granny square blanket there that I actually crocheted with a bunch of friends. So I taught a lot of them how to do granny squares, and a lot of them made 1 to 2 each, and my family as well, and we built that together. Which is really nice.
That's so special. And I love the way that you've hung all of the pictures on that wall as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot of artwork from myself and artists that I know, and it's nice to be able to curate all of that and display it even in a tiny house. So in my design, I actually focused a lot on making sure I had wall space where I could actually display some small works, because for me it's very important to have that display, and it can be a bit hard in a tiny house space to actually have wall hanging room.
Yeah. Well, especially in a bus like this where all of your walls are taken up by windows.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't want to cover the windows because I love the nature and being able to have all of that natural light as well.
Yeah. To that end as well, you're actually incredibly fortunate when it comes to your parking space, because there are very few spots where having this many windows would work this well.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving under the tree cover has been so beautiful. It means that through summer it's a lot more breezy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very fortunate. This space is perfect for what I'm looking for at the moment.
It certainly is. And beyond your lounge space there, I can see the bedroom peeking around the corner. Can we take a look at that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, again, this is just so cozy.
Thank you. Yeah. It's nice to just have all of these little items around.
What truly makes this space is all of the time and effort that you have taken to curate and collect all of these wonderful little treasures that really make this space something truly special.
Yeah, it's beautiful to just have all of these items from like when I've traveled, and op shops and gifts from friends and handmade sort of things. So yeah, it sparks joy for me.
Yeah. How much of all of this is your artwork?
Quite a lot of it is mine. So the ceramics here is mine. I've got my sort of journals. About half of the artwork on the walls is mine. And then there's a lot of my sketchbooks and things on display as well. A nest of artwork, mine and other people's.
That have all come together to create one giant work of art.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this is the biggest artwork installation I've ever done.
Absolutely. Talk to me about the way that you've laid out this space and the way that you've built in the bed and all of the shelving.
I really wanted to have this space here to have some decent storage and display room. And because these shelves are customizable, I could build them in line with the window top and bottom.
Great.
And that means that I didn't lose the visual space out the window, and I could store above in that space as well. So I was really happy with how it turned out. it's a tight walkway, but for me that's perfectly fine, and it means I can still have a standard size bed as well.
And I do really like the way how there's no timber backing to the shelving. So again, you kind of get the hints of all of the plants outside through these little peeks through all of the art. It's very cool.
Yeah, it very much means that you get that light through everything, and I get to wake up and look out, and it's just all lush greenery.
And as you said, you've got a great size bed here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to be able to have like just a queen size bed.
Yeah, and quite an elaborate collection of pillows to match.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a fan of like having all of the different colors, and it means as well that I can have like a lounge back here. So often I'll have my laptop on this desk here and be able to lean up against the wall and watch TV here. So it just means that it brings that versatility to that wall as well as the end of the bed there.
And obviously with any tiny house, storage becomes a really big deal. So talk to me about the way that you've built storage into your home.
Yeah, for sure. So I've got some drawers under the bed as well as along here. So I've built some drawers into this just to be able to have some like wardrobe storage space, as well as a roller door wardrobe there. I needed something that had the rollers. I wanted something with the mirrors. It just meant that it could still open when it's, only that close to the bed. So it's just a matter of very strategically choosing things that could fit into the space and not take up too much visual room as well.
Yeah. I think you've done that in such a nice way. And even things like placing the wardrobe unit and being able to hang all of the art on the back of it, just the way that you've sort of given everything a little bit of multifunction and also used the furniture to create separation in the spaces is really quite nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to design it so that as you walk in, it doesn't come across that there is like a big piece of furniture that's actually blocking that space. It's the back of a wardrobe, but it's actually a dividing wall. So it's not until you kind of walk through that you kind of notice that it's a wardrobe.
Very true. And I'm guessing beyond that door there, we've got your bathroom. Can we take a look at that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Oh, wow. This is really cool. Look at that basin. That is stunning.
Yeah, thank you so much. I actually had that from my previous bus as well. So it was a hand-carved wooden burl that my uncle made for my parents, and they gave it to me to make into a sink. So,
wow. Yeah. That just makes for such a beautiful centerpiece of this bathroom. And of course, just further accentuates the wonderful timber slab you've got there for the bench.
Yeah, absolutely. And that slab is the one that matches the kitchen one. So from the same tree, locally milled.
Yeah. I really like the way that you've done the shower here as well. All of the cool pipe work and then those tiles. Again, it just wonderfully explodes with that kind of vintage style that is just flowing throughout the whole space.
Yeah, so the tiles were all sourced from Marketplace as well. Some of them were like free local giveaways, as well as like what I could find on Marketplace in like small excess bundles. So it was working with what I could find that was in the colors that I wanted to find. And then I was so happy with how they all married together. I might be the most proud of the work that I did in the shower. Yeah. I'm just stoked.
I can certainly see why. And then composting toilet. Actually, the composting toilet looks slightly out of place, being like quite a modern toilet surrounded by all of this wonderful timber and vintage stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree there. Like, I think I will be painting it green. It might disappear too much, but like, I don't know. It really does stand out a lot.
Yeah, painting it green I think would be a fantastic idea. And I don't think you can ever make a toilet disappear too much.
Yeah.
So how long have you been living in the bus now?
So this one, it's probably coming up on a couple of years.
But you've been living bus life for quite a while before that as well.
Yeah, so I was in a coaster for 2 to 3 years before that. Yeah.
And talk to me about what it's like living here.
Peaceful. It's really nice to be able to come to a space that's completely curated to me and to have the space around me as well. It helps me slow down.
Yeah. One of the things that really strikes me about your home is everywhere I look, I can just see such care and attention to detail that you've placed in everything. You have made not only everywhere I look in the home, but everywhere I look outside of your home, a work of art.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Tell me what it's like to live in a space where you have really just crafted everything exactly to your taste.
It is wonderful. So it's nice to have everything where I would choose for it to be. So it's all ergonomic to the way I live my life, you know, from where I've arranged things in the kitchen, the height of the benches, the type of seating, like everything that I have is purpose to what I need to be able to operate in a way that is effortless. Having a space like this for me means that I have the freedom to pursue the arts practice and the dreams that I want to through giving myself the versatility of having an alternative type of housing to live in. Not being paycheck to paycheck to pay rent means that I am able to have energy to put into my arts practice and to continue to grow in the direction that I want to.
And can we talk about the cost of crafting this home?
It would be probably 15 to 20K.
Wow, that is such a good result. And obviously though, that is probably weeks upon weeks of scouring the internet, hunting out all of these cool bargains that you found everywhere.
It's just a matter of like not being in a hurry to find everything right then and there. It was, I'll find it when it shows up.
Yeah. Obviously, in a previous life, I was an artist as well, and art was one of the things that drove me to tiny house living as well, looking for ways of reducing my overheads and allowing me to sort of really focus on a job that I truly loved. Can you talk to me about the way that this tiny home enables you to move through the world in a way more aligned with your choosing?
Yeah, so it allows me to be able to live very frugally. So I can afford to put more of my time into my arts practice and experiment a bit more in how I make a living. So whether it's like through online platforms, and it takes a long time to sort of build up a following, but it means that I have the time to be able to do that because I have chosen to live in an alternative way that suits being able to build a business in a slow and, you know, consistent manner. But it means that I don't need that like right now instant income in the way that I would have before when I was renting. So it's definitely empowered me to be able to run my business in the way that I see fit and take my time building it.
And your home is now so beautifully finished and you're settled so well into the space. What does the future hold for you now?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to get some international artist residencies so I can travel and create art around other artists globally and be able to hopefully in future provide space more to different artists and things like that through, you know, a variety of different platforms. So I'm starting a podcast that is going to be interviewing different artists that I'll be launching at the end of the year, and then hopefully I can take that overseas and continue talking to artists about how they make their way through their arts practice and adapt to changing times.
What a great idea. I very much look forward to checking that out. And wow, Chelsea, what you've created here is just absolutely magical. I feel very lucky to have been welcomed into your home to see this incredible creation of yours. Thank you so much for sharing this with me.
No worries. Thank you for coming all the way. Check it out.
My pleasure. Chelsea has crafted a truly exquisite home for herself here. I love that she truly, in this space, gets to live in her own art, in her own creation. But by building this home, she's created a lot more than just shelter for herself. She's crafted a lifestyle, one that truly enables her to live and connect with her dreams in the most beautiful way. Now, through this home, she gets to expand herself and her art into the greater world, and that really is a wonderful gift that she's given herself in building this wonderful space.